Hi there, I'm Miss April, and if you're watching this, you're probably in my home economics sewing class. Here is a video on how to help you hand stitch a straight line. Now, we have to make sure that our needle is threaded, and we have to make the knot at the end. Otherwise, we're just going to keep pulling the thread through the fabric, and it is a labor in vain. So, I gave my students a piece of medium woven cloth, and I asked you to make a pocket out of it. Now, really looking at it, if we wanted to, we could sew along here and then back here and up, and we'd have ourselves a little pocket, right? But since it's a piece of fabric folded, really the only thing necessary to make a pocket is to make a stitch along this line and then a stitch along this line. So let's do that. I'm going to start here, and because I just want to make a pocket, I'm not going to worry about which side to put my knot on at this time, but if I wanted to be a purse or a bag or something, I'd hide my first knot between the layers. But not worrying about cosmetics for that at this time, I'm just going to go ahead and start my stitch. Okay, the first one has begun, and you can see it knotted, and it's holding on the other side. Now, I noticed that a lot of my students were sticking the needle through and then flipping it over and sticking it through and then flipping it over and sticking it through. Let's learn a slightly more efficient technique, and it can help us to get more even stitches. We've begun here, and what we want to do is to measure how long of a stitch we want to have. And so I'm going to just pick a random length, perhaps half a centimeter, and I'm going to stick the first part through. Okay, but I'm not going to flip it over. What I'm going to do is, if you can see here, what I'm doing is pushing it through this way. Make sure that you can see this. And I'm going to do the same thing and measure the same length here. Push it through. And if you can see what I'm doing, is I'm basically making a straight line with my needle so that I don't have to keep flipping it back and forth. And of course, you'll have better success with longer needles, but you don't want the needle to be too thick. We're not embroidering. And so you can see that I wanted to pull that one out so that I could make a more even stitch. Right, so what we have is this so far. And I can go ahead and pull that through and take a look at what that's gonna look like. Now, the longer the thread you have, the more management you need to do to make sure that it doesn't knot itself. Okay, so we have a stitch. My last thread wasn't that straight, so I'll have to work on that. Maybe 2 to 3 loops at a time. But this does help us. When you have a pattern, and if you've chosen to lay it out using chalk or pencil to mark the fabric, or carbon paper to mark the fabric, then you can actually just follow the lines that you've made on the fabric itself to stitch a straighter line. And you'll continue this same idea all the way through. as many times as you think you can control it, you can pull it through. Now let me just show you. When you're finished with the fabric, I'm going to knot it on the same side that my first knot is on. Once you've finished your stitch line, you want to make sure that you have a knot that is tight to the fabric. And one of the ways to do that is to go ahead and loop and use your 2 fingers to pull it tight. So as you can see, it's tight to the fabric, right? Use another finger and your nail to put pressure right at the exit of the thread. And as you pull it, it stays tight there because your nail held it in one place. And you can see that the knot is tight against the fabric, and that keeps it taut and keeps it from pulling. And then if you're satisfied with one knot, you can go ahead and cut it. But if we're going to knot it again, just to be sure that it doesn't pull through, again, you're going to pull this tight against the fabric, and I hope that you can see this. I have it looped under the previous knot, and I'm going to put my thumbnail across it right. I can feel the knot under my thumbnail, and I'm going to pull. And that allows me to have an even tighter knot, more secure knot, right against the thread. I hope that helped, and I'm looking forward to seeing your pockets. See you next time.